clubs have a lot of funding, they just don't set it in their budget to support S&Cs currently. So there's a big issue in the industry at the moment. So for me, it would be contacting people and just say, hey, can I come in and see what you do?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, my name is James Grigson. I'm here with Kurt Vogel. Kurt, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. About 7 a.m, just finished up with a client. Really appreciate you coming on through. No problem. I want to go through your entire journey, but I want to start with what's happening at the moment, mate. So right now, the life of Kurt, what's news?
Well, there's quite a lot of things, to be honest. I always kind of have a finger in a few different things. So working at University of Southern Queensland as tech officer. I do a little bit of lecturing there as well, and a little bit of research. Yep. I'm going to be lecturing at QUT in the dance program this semester. Yep. Plus, I've got my regular S&C coaching, so I work with 5 different sports at the moment. Cool. Athletics, rugby league, tennis, rowing, and boxing. Wow. And with a few other people, I am currently in the process of getting together and starting up a regional institute of sport. So pretty much giving regional athletes the opportunity to have access to elite resources, really. So,
and where's that going to be based?
Ipswich Toowoomba. Okay. Start there and then hopefully expand out across the actual state. So that way you get more people on board up north as well.
Very busy man.
And then my own stuff, which is just personal stuff.
Just playing around. Yeah. Very, very busy man. Let's jump back to the very beginning. So you've got a few degrees underneath your belt, but you're a Queensland boy, right? Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Right, assuming. So you started off, was it QUT or Griffith that you did your undergrad? Griffith. Yeah. So that was all sports science, and then you went on and did your it honours, masters? Yeah. And then you recently did your masters in business and innovation. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that throughout that journey, take us through the mindset for you. Was it just, I want to get my degrees done and then I'm going to kind of figure out where I'm going to go, or were you already pretty headstrong on, I'm going to get my degrees done, but I'm going to do some practical work because I really want to get into the practical field? Where were you at that time? Let's say, in your undergrad. Let's take it back there.
I'll actually even step back to high school. So in high school, since I was 10, I wanted to be an architect. And actually when I got to the preferences you could choose in year 12, I said, I'm sick of maths. I'll do PE teaching.
Right.
Big change from architecture.
Massive change.
Yeah.
So from 10 to 17,
I want to be an architect.
Set.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All my subjects in year 12 were set to be architect. So physics, I like all that kind of stuff. Physics, graphics.
Was there any one moment, or was it just you going?
No, when I decided to choose preferences. Like I even did drafting as a volunteer thing in high school, which I actually enjoyed too.
Wow.
And then I just got to preferences to go, PE teaching. Just completely changed.
Okay.
Snap decision.
That's good. That's good.
And from there, that's where I kind of fell in love with coaching. And 2 years in, I wasn't keen on the whole curriculum thing, but I still wanted to get involved in coaching and liked what I kind of learned about the human body, and then I changed to exercise science. Yeah. First year I started exercise science, I started as a PT and I started an S&C. So fortunate enough for that, but at the same time I was also working at Toys R Us. So I have a few jobs while studying. So
you're in that mindset of multiple fingers in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not just like, oh, here's Toys R Us, I'll just get the degree done. For me, I wanted to get as much experience as possible, and I mean I was fortunate to have a good mentor. So my lecturer in PE teaching for a couple of courses was Tony Attridge, and he's quite a high level S&C. Also background in psychology, so he's worked at Olympics, I think 96 or something, and he kind of put me on the right path a little bit, which is really good. And I think after the first year I started PT work in S&C, I actually got involved with South Logan Magpies men. Just wanted to help out. And
what was the role there at that point in time?
Initially, it was like I help out however I can, just get an experience in the field. Like I played footy all my life, and all of a sudden I'm assistant S&C, which is awesome. And we won the premiership that year I was with them, just very lucky. So you look at that kind of stuff and you go, sometimes it's luck. People go, it's got to be something that you did. I was like, I was just there.
I was there. I was present.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have gone straight on the resume. premiership assistant.
Absolutely.
coach.
And the next year, and then it kind of grew from there, like across different sports and stuff like that as well. So, and overall, I think I've been with South Logan men's teams and now women's teams since 2008. It's only been like 2 years that I haven't been involved, but I've still got down to training. So I really like standing around clubs like that as well.
Did you play there at all as well?
When I was working with them, yes.
Yes.
So in Reggie's, they had a couple of players out with injuries, and they found out my history.
Yeah.
And they asked about my history, and they said, if you'd like to jump in for a trial, and I was like, I'll jump in for a session. And 15 minutes in, coach came over, he goes, I'm really impressed with what I've seen. I can't put you in the game this week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But next week you're in, and so yeah.
Forget this S&C business.
So played a few games. Unfortunately, got knocked out twice in 3 games. Just unfortunate incidents.
Right. The first 2 concussions, was that your first 2 concussions, or had there been a history?
Yeah, actually, no history. History. Yeah, it was just unfortunately one real high tackle 1 week.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, hit on the hip, and then it was towards the end of the season then anyway, so I only played 1 more game I think after that. So
yeah.
And that's when you went.
Yeah, exactly. So and I play it every now and then for like the uni teams, which is all right. And a couple of years ago, I just kind of called it quits altogether because a concussion is a pretty big thing. And in that one game, I lost my legs once, got dizzy 4 times, and when you that many times in one game, you just go, I think it's probably not a good position for me to be in.
And you would have been early 20s too.
This is only like 3 years ago.
Okay, so early 20s.
Yeah, exactly, early 20s. Yeah. Nothing to do with being 30.
No. But when when your biggest asset's going to be your brain, you probably, for someone like yourself especially.
Yeah. And you hear so much about it, and I know the media kind of pushes it pretty heavily, looking into a lot of the stuff. It's sometimes not as bad as what the media makes it out to be, but it's still important. So knowing all of that and knowing the anatomy of the brain and how it actually functions. So
you mentioned before that your mentor put you on the right path, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What were some of his words of advice for you at that time? I'm sensing it was go taste things, go do things, etc. But what looking back, you use the words right path. What would you define? Was putting you on the right path?
I guess it was more talking to him about kind of where to go. So it wasn't specific words of advice per se, but during the conversations, it's more about get involved in more sports, get more experience coaching, and I think pretty early on, he actually said I picked up coaching very well and very quickly.
Okay.
So in regards to some of my knowledge aspects, still had to catch up a little bit, but coaching wise, even when he first saw me doing coaching work, I picked things up very quickly. So it was more about that experience and kind of where to travel, and then I'd always just go to him for questions every now and then, every few months, going, this is what I'm doing currently, where do you go from here? So having a mentor like that is pretty important. So rather than one kind of nugget of advice, it's more so continuous support, which is pretty good.
That's interesting, because I think people, when they think about mentors, they kind of almost assume that it has to be this
weekly teleconference and sit down and you chat and but I think what you described is more of a realistic / probably ideal mentor, which is you just keep executing, keep doing your thing, but you reach out, like you said, every quarter, every few months, when you have a question, and they just kind of...
Exactly right, and initially with a mentor, it's kind of, you end up being in their presence, or if it's by distance, with them more often to begin with, and then from there you've kind of set your platform, and that's where it kicks off into just come back for a question when you need it and see how you go. Or it might be a 3-month follow-up of how you going. So
would you attribute your, because what I'm trying to understand is you jumped into, I'm sure there was a bit of necessity needed. You needed to have, the Toys R Us, the S&C and the other S&C, as a lot of students need to. They need to have multiple things happening, but you've continued that on. Was that your own innate personality traits coming out, or was someone saying, hey Kurt, go try and taste things, and then you went, I like doing multiple things? What? I've
always been a pretty curious mind. And when I kind of get involved in one thing, I actually hate being put into a tunnel. So I enjoy one thing, then I like a challenge. So I'll expand on multiple things. So even, to be honest, when I started my job at USQ, I actually took 6 months of coaching because I actually had a business beforehand, and took 6 months of coaching. 6 months in, I was like, I just can't do the one thing constantly without some sort of challenge or progression. And unfortunately, there's not much progression as a tech officer in the uni unless you try and look for other avenues. So, so having that as a base is really good, and I really enjoy my work there. And they're very good and very flexible with what we do. So.
Yeah, and then you're able to, obviously, like you alluded to at the top of the interview, you're able to then go and do some lecturing, you're able to do some research,
exactly
and
right,
so you got more things happening. And that personality trait was innate within you from a young age.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. It seems like it.
Yeah. When it sounds really weird, but when your mum says you're always different from a young age, you're like, I don't know if to take that a good way or a bad way, but
when you're younger, you go, you don't really know, but as you get older, was I weird?
Yeah, exactly. So now you know everyone's weird. So
100%.
Yeah. The older you get, you start going, I'm weird, but then you go, hang on,
exactly
all these
right.
people. So I want to get into your work with the ballet and some of the work that you did there, because I think that's really fascinating stuff and something that not too many people in sports science think about applying their skills towards. So take me through what happened there with the ballet, with the IMUs and what you're looking at doing there.
So it actually started, so I was fortunate enough to present at National Science Week in 2016. ESSA contacted me and said, we need a sports scientist. I'm looking to have you down for National Science Week. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah, I'll jump on that. And so we're presenting Queen Street Mall, and we're running a fitness challenge for a bunch of different sports. Pretty much, we got some polar heart rate monitors out, and we monitored that on the screen for pretty much the stage that was there at Queen Street. And we had people from Brisbane Raw, Brisbane Heat, Queensland Ballet, and then from both male and female, and then Petro Sivanasiva from the Bronx.
Was he retired by then?
He was, yes. So he was just doing more work with them. So
yes, his heart rate was to the roof.
He wasn't doing the fitness challenges, he was staying out of it, but we did some demos with VO2 max stuff, so get the mask on him to show what we do on a roller or something like that. And the guys from Queensland Ballet, they didn't really know even how to put a heart rate monitor on. And I asked them, hey, have you never put anything on like this before? They're like, no. And the head of the physio there, or head of medicine, Zara, she was there, and I said, what do you guys do kind of to monitor anything? Do you do anything? And she's like, not really. And I asked her if I can come in just to see if I can trial a few things and see what they do, and she said, come in and see what they do and see what we can do about it. So went in there, had a look at a few sessions with the heart rate monitors on them, which was really cool. So they're really open to that, and I really like that. And then one of the other physios, Louise Drysdale, we kind of started putting something together in regards to, okay, heart rate, they are working at 2 to 5% above their maximum heart rate, predicted maximum heart rate, and they're still smiling, walk off stage, have a bit of a blow off, and then go back on, do it again, and repeat. And you're like, does that relate to tracking loading? Oh, well, okay, let's look at something else as well. Look at GPS, or they don't run. So they run, but 110 meters or something in an hour and a half session. You know, well, okay, that's not much as well. And so then we started looking at different methods. We're like, what about vertical displacement? I'm like, well, look at something. And so we looked at inertial measurement units, and so our first inertial measurement unit we looked at, I actually put together and built, which is pretty fun. So I've seen them before, and I got a bit of help with one of the hockey players I worked with, because he was an engineer, and he kind of got me on the right path there of what to look for and stuff like that. And so I put an inertial measurement unit together with an accelerometer, a gyroscope, magnometer, and we put it on one of the dancers just to get some data. And it looked really cool. We can see patterns in the movement. And the one I built had very short battery life, so we actually bought one. So we used one that actually already had good battery life, when you're simple charging, all that kind of stuff. And from there we could actually look at the whole pattern. So we actually created a little project with it. looked at 14 different ballet movements across male and female, and you could actually see every single jump, rotation, if they landed on left leg, right leg. So it was awesome, and from there we kind of used it to put together a bit of paper, and yeah, that's kind of where it took us a little bit. But there was a few things in regards to continuing work we stopped because the data analysis was pretty heavy, and so you'd actually need to kind of either have really good or quick scripts or software to support that.
Yeah.
So, which is what was lacking, and they just don't have the budget to support something that would have that. And I currently think no company in the world actually has preloaded ballet scripts to go, here's your jumps, here's your rotations, here's that. And so it's something I was kind of working on the side as well.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting,
I'd call it a niche within a niche, but it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
The athleticism that they possess is just...
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. So I think we calculated off a couple of different sessions that sessions are pretty similar across the week, so they would do anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 jumps per week. And in sports, you get told, let's limit our jumps to 150. And obviously they're doing other things as well. It's just jumping. Like volleyball is very similar in regards to how many jumps they do as well. So, but it's pretty funny going from a device that you hear from 150 jumps per week in a team sport, and you're working all those, and you go to a jumping sport and you've got like 200, 300 jumps in one session. You're like,
and they have to keep a smile on their face as well.
Exactly, yeah. And actually, funnily enough, I took that back to boxing a little bit in regards to that. Yeah, so after their hard sessions, I was like, you got to stand tall, you got to not put any kind of emotion into that face after you're struggling, and it actually really helped with the boxers I trained as well.
I'm sure it would. You didn't tell them that it was from the ballet though, because I don't think a lot of boxers would have
afterwards I did. Afterwards I told them it's from the ballet, and they go, oh, okay, they were pretty open, but
once it works,
exactly,
once it works, they go, So were you, because I assume anyway, from our knowledge and my knowledge with working with the ballet, still very small, but the amount of literature in that, probably you wouldn't have had much to go off of, ballet specific literature that is. Were you going to volleyball as a kind of to get a baseline understanding as to, like you said, there's running sports, there's no real application. Jumping sports, I think volleyball would probably be one of the closest sports that you can almost apply some of the research from. Were you going to other sports, or were you just trying to
Well, we kind of looked at a few things. So there was a little bit of data out there from ballet, and they looked at accelerometers, but it was more about if you've ever actigraph, they just put something on their wrist and they track their movements across the day and stuff like that, which is completely different. They looked at kick counts and stuff, and I spoke to Jeremy Shepherd about his work that he's done in volleyball. So I spoke to him at one of the conferences about what he does, and that kind of gave me more idea of what you can do around it as well. So, and a lot of the accelerometer stuff in sport for any kind of vertical displacement has been done in volleyball, and they've done it now in figure skating as well, so a lot of rotations, those sports, and they use them in diving for some of their work and on-land training, sorry. So there are other sports that do use them, and so integrating that was, I guess, a culmination of looking at what they've done over a couple of different sports as well.
Yeah, nice.
Changing gears a little bit.
That's right.
I want to talk a bit about you as just a consultant, right?
Okay,
so you're pretty much, from what I understand anyway, you're on your own, and you're looking to pick up work and just find a place where you're going to add value and be useful, and they're going to appreciate you. That's just my assumption. How has that life been? Because you've been doing it for pretty much a decade now. Is that right to say?
13 years.
13 years, yeah. How is that life for you?
I really enjoy it. So originally my goal when I got into sport, I was like, I want to get into professional sport. And then I realised at one moment, I was like, actually, I don't. I want to get into, the biggest thing and what drove me was helping people without resources have access to resources. So, so I actually help a lot of people that either don't have funding or don't have as much money, or just want to reach their goals, but again, lack resources or funding. So, and everyone goes, oh, everyone's got money to prioritize. I'm like, not everyone does. So, because one of my biggest things is I had personal debt when I was younger, so it limited my opportunities to do certain things. So, and so I know that from other people's perspectives as well. So, But nowadays I try and work with just semi-professional and just youth development. That's probably where I stick to. And if people are with me and they're trying to make an Australian side, I realise that's also still semi-professional. They still work full time and all that kind of stuff. So being able to support people like that for me is huge. And that's why I kind of, with another two fellows, Michael Krog and Rob Burr, we're trying to get started at Regional Institute of Sport.
I like that. That's really, really cool. As someone, so if you were to put yourself back in the shoes of a young graduate, and this is why I wanted to bring you on, because a lot of the young graduates have the same thought that you did. I want to work in pro sport, or I want to work in a private section, not necessarily by themselves, quote unquote. What is the biggest challenge for you as an individual trying to obtain work, or maybe not now because you've got a relatively nice name, but back in the day when you first started, what was one of the bigger challenges as an individual trying to obtain work?
The biggest thing is, unfortunately, as much as there's minimum wage when you've got a certain level in ASCA or in ESSA nowadays, people in sports still don't want to pay that much, because as much as we're called a sporting nation, unfortunately the funding is still limited. Clubs have a lot of funding, they just don't set it in their budget to support S&Cs currently. So there's a big issue in the industry at the moment. So for me it would be contacting people and just say, hey, can I come in and see what you do? That's probably what I've done all the way along. I've never gone, hey, can I get a job straight away, or can I help out here? It's more about, hey, can I just see what you do? And that's probably my biggest advice is, if you talk to any club or any coach, actually just asking, hey, can I come and see what you do? And as soon as you're in that position, have a chat to a few of the athletes, immediately you get that rapport, then, hey, do you mind if I come back for a couple more sessions? And then pretty much it doesn't always work, but pretty much most of the times you've now got an in. You've got along with the players pretty quickly. The coach sees you as a valuable part there, and part of that situation, and they might actually say, hey, do you want to stay, help out for the rest of the season or something, or depends what it is. So just being able to ask, hey, can I come down and see what you do, rather than actually trying to get a job from them. Change the perspective in what you want to do, and change it about learning about other situations rather than getting a job from it. And then eventually it'll kind of unfold itself.
So I assume you'd write it in such a way that it's, hey, I'm a third year sports science student, or I'm a recent graduate of sports science, really keen to get a bit more understanding of the industry. I'd love to come down and watch a session. Is that really essentially?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, either email or even either call if you've got someone's number, because a lot of times in sport everyone knows each other a little bit. So if you actually know someone around that situation, you go, can I get this person's number? I just want to give them a call to see if I can get some experience. And most people go, yeah, here's their number, or they might go, oh, I prefer to email, just flick them an email. But exactly right, just give your background. Hey, I'm involved in an exercise sport program at the moment. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a feel for what's out there. I just want to see what you guys do and how the sessions are run, so I can kind of see what's happening in the industry.
And then once you're at that session, you mentioned engaging with people. I think that's one of the biggest things. I've seen people take the step, right? So they write the email, they're pretty anxious, and then they get to the session, and then
a lot of people just step back and that's it.
And of course, you know, you're in someone else's house, so you do have to be a little bit respectful, but you're also, you know, you want to build that rapport. What's the fine line? Is there any words of advice that you have there about being at the actual session, about engaging with the athletes, how to engage with the athletes, or how to engage with the coach, or is it just really you've either got it or you don't?
My biggest thing is just be human. Is actually just have a chat. Like don't try and go in with the mentality of, I'm trying to help you. Hey, how can I help you? It's the mentality of, I just want to be part of this. So hey, I'm Kurt. I'm just watching the session for the day. What's your role in the team, or what do you do, or something like that? And you can start there, or you can just go, hey, I'm Kurt. I'm just sitting down for the session for the day. What kind of stuff do you get up to outside of sport? Like just have a chat and try and make it as natural as possible. Don't freak out about being in that situation, because people really appreciate, particularly athletes appreciate, if you're not coaching, if you're actually just a person.
I like that.
Is there anything else that you wanted to get off your chest, whether it's about the Regional Academy of Sport, whether it's about any advice that you have for young people? Well, I think we've covered a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest?
I guess in regards to advice, is looking at where you're at, don't be afraid to travel. So if you are, say, in Brisbane and you go, I don't know, I like to stay in Brisbane, don't be opposed to that. So if you find there's a position in Sydney and you have the opportunity, go for it, because that's probably going to be better for your career in the long run. Yeah. And in regards to that, kind of leads into, and this is just from a personal point of view and personal factor, like I said earlier, how earlier on I got into personal debt. Everyone has a level of debt, but it's more so keep that slate as clean as possible when you're going through uni, because it allows you opportunities to move and go, oh, I could do volunteer work here, I could take less pay here, rather than having to support a debt that may already have to go, okay, I need to pay these bills, so I can't take that position here because it's too low or something like that. So less debt means more opportunity. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for young people as well, particularly as you know with finances around nowadays, everyone getting to afterpay as well, even a little bit. And so people can top up those kind of things pretty quickly, and then everyone just wants to get into, I guess, next step. So some people just rush into things.
Your comment on wanting to be able to travel and then the need to be able to travel, is that just a commentary on the lack of
opportunity? So when you find one, don't be afraid to go, or
pretty much, yeah. So particularly if you look at a place like Brisbane, there's opportunity here, but if you look at it, there's one professional rugby league team, there's one professional soccer team, one professional rugby union team, and a professional netball team, AFL, for the main sport, it's actually probably one of the sports I haven't worked in.
Do you want to?
Not really fussed. I've had some experience in it, but that's probably
it's very rugby league of you to say.
So when you look at that, and then you say, look at Sydney, where you've got many professional teams, Melbourne, many professional teams.
And a pretty thriving private sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's a big part of it as well. More athletes because of more opportunities equals better capacity to have people around. So particularly if you're in somewhere like Queensland or even a regional area, don't be afraid to travel. So.
Because that opportunity is then going to probably lead to more opportunities.
Exactly. Even if it's a 6-month block, go, you know what, I may be nervous about this, but I'll go down for 6 months, see what it's like. Don't like it, you can always leave. And I think it's one thing you learn, the more you grow, the more you learn this is you can change any part of your life at any point, whenever you want to. It's not, I'm stuck in this, it's you can change whenever you want to.
Quite like the, I want to be an architect, and then I want to be a PE teacher. Bang, go.
And then commit to it. We could probably talk for another 40 minutes. Really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Awesome.
If you've watched this video all the way through, you're a legend. If you're a young strength and conditioning coach, I think you'll really like the video that's right here. The director of strength and conditioning from Brisbane Boys College, Sophie Pidcock, and I, we sat down, we spoke, a lot of really good nuggets in there, so I will see you there.